Mr. Chair, it's a pleasure to rise to speak about corrections in this debate, and it's a pleasure to do so because this government, under the stewardship of the Minister of Corrections, has made some giant leaps, if you will, in the corrections area. And I'm going to talk about a few of those areas. The first one I want to touch on is that Minister Judith Collins has made it very plain that she, as the Minister, backs corrections personnel. And this is something that when you talk to corrections officers, they understand that. They understand it, and they work in a particularly difficult employment situation, and to know that the Minister, Judith Collins, has their back means an awful lot to them. This government has backed up that approach by the passage of the Sentencing Aggravating Factors Bill, which is now an Act of Parliament. And what that has done is given corrections and police, but I'm now talking about corrections officers, the comfort, if you will, to know that in the difficult employment situation, if they have been assaulted, and corrections officers do get assaulted on, unfortunately, a regular but decreasing, I might say, basis, they now have the comfort of knowing that when the perpetrator who has been accused of that assault, when that time comes for that person to be sentenced, that aggravating factor will be taken into account by the court. Now, that is the strongest signal possible by this government and this Minister that this government backs corrections officers. Mr. Chair, it's interesting to note, isn't it, that there is increased public confidence in the corrections service. No doubt that increased public confidence is because the government has shown confidence in the corrections sector. 61% of people now think that corrections are doing a good job. Now, what do we compare that with? We compare that with only 40% in June 2008. And so in the term of this government, we now have 61% of people who think that corrections is doing a good job. And by the way, corrections is doing a good job. There are a number of things that the Minister has introduced into our prison system which is having some very beneficial results. We're told that drug and alcohol treatment is the single most effective program that the Department of Corrections is running, and that there are early signs of decreased recidivism by those who have taken part. As well as that, there are a number of good things happening. All prisoners, and that is regardless of the length of their sentences, now have access to literacy training and are being given opportunities for trades training and work experience inside prisons. That is proving to be hugely beneficial for our prison population. I think I need to talk about probably one of the single most significant aspects in this debate as far as corrections is concerned, and that is from 1st of July this year, all New Zealand prisons have been made smoke-free. What are the benefits of that? Well, clearly, the benefits to the prisoners are that they get the opportunity to break perhaps what is a habit of a lifetime, a habit which we all know is bad for health, a habit which is dirty, a habit which is expensive, and they have been given the opportunity to break that habit. More importantly, prisoners are being given the support that they need in breaking the smoking habit, but most importantly, and again, this is something that the Minister of Corrections, Judith Collins, has said time and time again, making prisoners smoke-free provides protection for corrections officers. Corrections officers previously had to not only breathe in second-hand smoke, which we know is even more dangerous than smoking directly itself. They no longer have to tolerate second-hand smoke, but it is known that at least twice a week in a New Zealand prison, fires were being lit, putting corrections officers, but also the prisoners themselves, at risk from fire and smoke inhalation. It was a major problem for New Zealand prisons, for the corrections officers, and the Minister, Judith Collins, has dealt with it. Has there been any complaints? No, there haven't been any complaints, and in fact I think that a number of people will be quite pleased with that amongst another of initiatives.
The member's time has expired. I call David Clendon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.